I'm going to demonstrate for you how to make a very tasty and quick recipe that I call Cocoa Bites. I did it at XMarket on Montrose Avenue in Chicago a couple of Sundays ago, and it was very popular. We had so many people there and so many questions were asked afterwards that I thought, I'm going to do this again and we'll just show you how to make it, so this way everybody can see it. So this is Cocoa Bites. I love that this dessert not only has so few ingredients, but that also a lot of them are interchangeable, which I'll explain to you as I put them in. So you can make this spontaneously sometimes. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. You could also cut the recipe in half, cut it in quarters, and that way you don't have to have more around than you really want to eat. So it starts with almond butter, a half a cup. I use almond butter. When I first started making this recipe, I used peanut butter, but it just seems like more and more people seem to be allergic to peanuts these days, so I put almond butter in it, but you can substitute another nut butter for it. A third of a cup of maple syrup, and I use the dark maple syrup. It seems to me that if it's darker, that means it's less processed. They didn't make it like a light yellow, and so it would probably have more nutrients in it. Get this in. I don't know if you can see in there or not. So the third ingredient I'm going to put in, as soon as I get this all mixed together, you want it to be all well blended. The third thing is going to be cocoa powder, actually cacao powder. I don't know if you know the difference, but cocoa powder is what you see all the time in grocery stores. They both come from the whole cocoa bean. But cocoa powder has been heated to a very high temperature, which destroys certain nutrients. So I'm using cacao powder. It's raw. It has not been heated at all, so it's lighter in color. It also, however, because it hasn't been heated, it does have more caffeine. So if you use it, be careful maybe not to eat these too late at night. So here's the cacao. I left a little bit of the half cup. I think it's like a scant half cup is enough because we want it to be still loose so we can add ground nuts to this mixture. So I used walnuts. You could use pecans if you want, or if there's another nut that you happen to have in the house or like better. Oh, also a half a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to flash the recipe on the screen for you so you will be able to see it. Oh, this aroma. Half a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to add enough walnuts. I measured out a half a cup per the recipe, but you want it so that these cocoa bites are firm and you could roll them and they're not going to fall apart. The amount of walnuts you add could change a little bit from recipe to recipe because it depends what brand of almond butter you buy or if you grind it yourself. It just depends how firm or loose the almond butter is. You need enough walnuts to firm the whole thing up so that it stays together. So I'll put half of the walnuts in. Also, if you're grinding these walnuts yourself, which I did, be careful not to grind them too much. You want them to be in tiny little distinct chunks. You don't want this to turn into almond butter. It'll turn into almond butter if you, or walnut butter. It'll turn into walnut butter if you grind it too much. So you can still see this is, it's firming up, but it's still a little too loose to be balls, so I'll add, I just keep adding half of what's left. When we're done with mixing all this, we're going to roll them in ground walnuts. We'll roll some in shredded coconut. On the picture of the recipe that you're going to get, some are also rolled in sesame seeds. But these days, you can't get unprocessed, that is brown sesame seeds in Chicago. Let me know if you find them anywhere. You always have to get the ones that are hulled and they're white, and so I resent having to use those. So, okay, uses the whole half cup, that's good. So I left a little of the cacao powder out, but used all of the walnuts. You also can add different flavorings. So I put vanilla in. You could put almond extract instead of vanilla. You could put raspberry. You could put mint. Whatever you have, whatever you like. Okay, so that's the recipe. I will roll some of them in walnuts. I will roll some of them in coconut. I will roll none of them in sesame seeds. And a little scoop. Of course, the bigger the scoop, the less of the cocoa bites you'll have. The smaller the scoop, the more you'll have. So you just scoop it in right into the bowl. That's the coconut. I'll scoop some in the walnuts. Roll out my sleeves. Then you just toss it until they lose their stickiness. Of course, you want them to hold together and make them round. When I gave the class, I used plastic gloves to do this because we handed out the cocoa bites to everybody. But in my house, I don't have to do that. Okay. You can see this takes like minutes to make. It is so good. Okay. And then what's left, I could put it in the same plate. Left, I'm rolling in walnuts. This recipe made 5, 10, 15, 18 cocoa bites. It'll make more if you use a smaller scoop. Hope you enjoy these.